I became the cannon fodder best friend of the female lead in a tragic ancient romance. She drank contraceptive soup in a fit of anger with the emperor, and the emperor chopped off my hands. She fled the palace, and the emperor cut off my feet, hanging me on the city wall as a warning. She was sentenced to death after quarreling with the emperor, and I risked my life to rescue her from the execution ground, only to have my entire clan executed. Finally, the love-struck female lead and the emperor had a happy reunion, while the ashes of me and my entire family were scattered into the sea. To this, I, who had just crossed over, said, "Whoever wants to be this best friend can have the role. I command you to open the door immediately." The affectionate emperor was going mad. His most beloved woman, at this very moment, was shutting herself in the palace and drinking contraceptive soup, and he was powerless to stop it. Because he couldn't kick open the palace door. After all, the craftsman who repaired the palace gate certainly had some anti-theft skills up his sleeve. "Sophia, you can't treat our child like this." He began to break down, grieve, and become hysterical, even though it was only the female lead's first time receiving the emperor's favor. Although the female lead hasn't gotten pregnant yet, if anything happens to Sophia, I'll have all of you buried with her. Tisk, listen to that. Is that even human language? I've been in this world for 3 months, and when I heard the emperor's words, I still felt as absurd as an 80-year-old man doing 80 pull-ups with one hand. Soon, the eunuch who unlocked the door arrived. He was truly in a hurry, so much so that he tripped and fell when entering the courtyard gate. The emperor was furious and gave him a hard kick. "If anything happens to my woman, you will be buried with her." Finally, the door opened, revealing the pale-faced heroine sitting inside, tears welling in her eyes. Beside her lay an empty bowl. The emperor's eyes were bloodshot as he trembled and asked, "You drank it?" The heroine nodded, her expression resolute. "Louis, Sophia will never bear a child for you in this lifetime. Where is the imperial physician? Summon the imperial physician at once." Soon, the physician arrived to make the diagnosis. The emperor grabbed him by the collar and said furiously, "If my child cannot be saved, you will be buried alongside them." The imperial physician wept. He knelt on the ground, trembling as he said, "Your Majesty, the imperial consort drank an entire bowl of contraceptive soup. I truly am powerless to do anything." The emperor flew into a rage. "Death, all of you shall die for this." Kneeling outside the courtyard, my heart grew cold with dread. "Oh no, it's all over." Suddenly, I heard a sound of sobbing. Turning my head, I saw the young imperial physician next to me crying bitterly. While crying, he kept muttering to himself, "Next life, I will definitely study gynecology and obstetrics properly. If I fail again, I'm a dog." I decided to comfort him a bit. "Don't worry, we'll be fine," the young imperial physician whispered. "Really?" I nodded. "After all, I haven't had my hands and feet cut off because of their love and been hung on the city wall to dry." The young imperial physician sobbed and sighed. It's so good to be familiar with the plot. At this moment, the emperor was looking at the female lead with a fierce expression. "Since you are so heartless to me, don't blame me for being merciless." Sophia's red lips curled into a weak yet resolute cold smile. "Come on, kill me. Do you think I don't dare?" That's right, he really didn't dare. He was so angry that he overturned the table, and the bowl of contraceptive soup happened to hit me on the head. The pain made me gasp involuntarily. The emperor noticed me. He angrily scolded, "You lowly servant, how dare you speak? Guards, throw all these people into the imperial prison." Our kind-hearted heroine panicked, exclaiming in shock, "You can't do this. They are all innocent." The emperor looked deranged. "Sophia, I will take away everything you care about and make you suffer for a lifetime." "No, Louis, you can't do this to me." The female lead begins to break down, in agony and hysterics, while the emperor laughs maniacally beside her. I, along with the other imperial physicians, were all dragged away by the guards. Before leaving, the young physician asked me with a tearful face, "Didn't you say we wouldn't die?" I wavered. Maybe." The guards dragged away over 40 people from the female lead's courtyard in one go, making the already crowded prison cells in the imperial city even more packed. The young imperial physician and I became cellmates in the same prison cell. The young imperial physician, Sam, is also a time traveler. He asked me, "How long have you been here since you traveled through time?" I said, 3 months. He sighed, "I just arrived last week." I comforted him. You'll get used to it with more adaptation. Dr. Sam treated me as his sounding board, crying and cursing at the same time. Do you know how absurd this emperor is? As soon as I transmigrated here, the damn emperor made me save a noble who had drunk Crane's crest red. And that Crane's crest red was actually given to her by the damn emperor. Is it normal for an emotionally unstable emperor to enjoy feeding people Crane's crest red? Normal, it's absolutely normal. I patted him on the shoulder and said, here, existence is reasonable. In this world, the dog emperor usually doesn't do human things. For example, right now, he has sent a deputy minister of the Court of Judicial Review to interrogate us. The deputy minister first dragged physician Sam out. His question was simple: how to save the child that the imperial consort has not yet conceived. Physician Sam cried. He tried to persuade the other party from a scientific perspective, but in old-school tragic novels, logic is unnecessary. Dr. Sam pleaded desperately. Can you not hit me? The junior minister stroked the whip and replied, no. You not only disrespected the imperial consort but also spread heretical beliefs, compounding your crimes. Imperial physician Sam was on the verge of a breakdown. How did I disrespect the imperial consort? The junior minister's expression turned severe. Then tell me, why were you kneeling on the ground staring at the imperial consort's feet? Imperial physician Sam, listening to the distant screams of Dr. Sam, I silently made the sign of the cross on my chest, praying for him. Amen. May the Lord be with you. After a while, the poor Dr. Sam was dragged back, covered in whip marks. While the deputy minister of the Court of Judicial Review stood nearby with a strangely satisfied smile, then, he pointed at me and said, someone, take her away. I was dragged out by the prison guard. The questions the minister asked me were also very simple. Why did the female lead drink the contraceptive soup? Brother, how would I know why the female lead drank the contraceptive soup? Go ask her, the junior minister sneered. Not talking. Someone, cut off her hand. I'll talk. My mind raced, and I threw myself to my knees with a thud, wailing and pleading desperately, because Sophia loves the emperor, she loves him beyond all control. The junior minister furrowed his brow tightly, pondering the plausibility of my explanation. I then said, the imperial consort feared that the child would divide His Majesty's affection for her, by aborting the child. She wanted to prove that the emperor is her only one. The Minister of Justice relaxed his furrowed brow and nodded in agreement. I will report this matter truthfully to His Majesty. I avoided the fate of having my hands cut off and returned to the prison cell unscathed. Dr. Sam cried even louder. Why didn't he hit you? I said, because I know the plot. He sobbed again and asked, when can we get out? I did a quick calculation, in 3 days, because in 3 days, the despicable emperor will force the female lead to serve him again. The female lead begins to desperately miss her distant homeland on the grasslands. To successfully escape the palace, the female lead will definitely think of me, her unlucky best friend, and pull me out of the prison cell. 3 days later, the female lead arrived disguised as a man. Her disguise was clean and neat, with 2 fake mustaches attached. And she entered easily. Does this make any sense? Of course, this makes sense. After all, in ancient romance stories, everyone has poor eyesight. She felt her way with the key to my cell. Sophia opened my cell and hugged me tightly. Molly, you've suffered. I silently pushed her away. Unlucky female lead, stay away from me. Sophia wanted to pull me away, but I sat in the prison cell as steady as Mount Tai. She said, Molly, won't you come with me? Let's return to the grasslands, go back to the kingdom of El. The female lead was crying pitifully, and I earnestly advised her. Princess, wake up, your kingdom of El has already fallen. No, I don't believe it. My father and brother must still be waiting for me. The female lead began clutching her head and screaming as if no one else was around. My head hurts so much, it really hurts. Dr. Sam quietly moved closer to me and asked, what's wrong with her? I calmly replied, amnesia trope. Physician Sam was puzzled. So has she regained her memory? I remained indifferent. If she doesn't regain her memory, how can they love and hate each other? After this time in prison, I've come to understand one thing: respect others' fate, let go of the savior complex. To survive, you must lock the male and female leads together for good, making them torment each other in the palace for a lifetime. Dr. Sam gave a thumbs up. Poisonous, truly poisonous. The main plot of this tragic story essentially revolves around the idea of, if I love you, I'll kill your entire family. The female lead wholeheartedly embodies the principles of picking up men on the roadside, and feeling sorry for men brings a lifetime of misfortune. She rescued the dying dog emperor by the roadside, got to know and fell in love with him, and even went against all odds to send him back to his country. On his very first day back in the palace, the male lead, who was an international student from country L, killed the power-hungry Empress Dowager and carried out a bloody purge of the court. The dog emperor personally led the expedition to L country to avenge his previous humiliation. He deceived the female lead with a vow of eternal love, tricking her into stealing L country's defense layout. As a result, L country fell, and the female lead was forced into a political marriage, becoming one of his concubines. My identity is the female lead's unfortunate maid who accompanied her as part of the dowry. The male lead humiliated the female lead everywhere in the harem, and she couldn't bear the stimulation, leading to a cliché amnesia. She forgot the grudge of her clan's extermination, as well as every moment she shared with the male lead, but this dog emperor always thought she was faking amnesia and continuously subjected her to psychological and physical pressure. Dr. Sam sighed. Tragic. This is truly tragic, I sneered. Aren't we, the cannon fodder who could die at any moment? The most miserable. Dr. Sam shut his mouth. I walked over to the female lead, who had passed out from the pain, and slapped her face hard several times. As soon as she opened her eyes, before she could even process the pain on her face, I immediately burst into loud sobs and cried, Princess, we must avenge His Majesty and the prince. Watching the determination grow in Sophia's eyes, I thought to myself, this is it. She held my hand and said, Molly, I won't run away anymore. I'll make sure Louis pays for what he did to L country with his life. With a touched expression, I politely replied, Princess, I'll support you in whatever you do. After the female lead regained her memories, she immediately threw herself into the cause of revenge. She humbly tried to please the male lead, actively served him for 3 nights, and managed to get me and Dr. Sam out of prison. I spread my arms and took a deep breath. The feeling of freedom is truly wonderful. Dr. Sam was completely in awe of me. Time-traveling expert. From now on, I'm following you. To strengthen the female lead's resolve to confront the male lead, I make it a point to instill anti-PUA thoughts in her every day. When the emperor publicly accused her of being promiscuous, I said, he sleeps with so many women every year. He's the most promiscuous one in the entire palace. When the emperor coaxed her with gifts, I asked, is this something exclusive to you? Or is it just leftovers from the other palace consorts? When the emperor specially invited an opera troupe to perform for her, I laughed and said, if he truly loved you, he would have performed the opera for you himself. Sophia cried for a long time. She was crying for her lost youth, for her blind and foolish love. After she finished crying, she finally spoke and concluded, you're right, he never loved me. My expression was deeply moved, and I called out fittingly, Princess. Sophia raised her hand to interrupt me. Molly, don't worry, I will definitely kill him. The flames of hatred in her eyes burned brighter and brighter. I knew that the love-struck female lead was about to undergo a complete transformation. The female lead devised a series of revenge plans. Summarize in one sentence. If you want to destroy someone, first make them crazy. I am very pleased. Focusing on career is better than focusing on men. Sophia took action immediately. She vowed, Sophia, we'll make sure Louis meets a terrible end. I was even more pleased. Well said, you two are just meant to be together. When the emperor arrived at the backyard again, the female lead immediately greeted him with a smile. Your Majesty, you've finally come. Sophia leaned softly into his embrace. The emperor was overjoyed. Sophia, have you come around? The female lead nodded. I am willing to bear you a son. The emperor touched her belly. I prefer daughters, and I want 100 more daughters. The female lead blushed with shyness. Once again, I felt the absurdity of watching an 80-year-old man doing 81-handed push-ups. The emperor domineeringly cupped her face and said with deep affection, I already know of your feelings for me. Sophia visibly froze for a moment. I silently lowered my head. My feelings for you have never changed. Feel free to have as many children as you want. I can afford to raise 101 children. I saw Sophia's smile freeze for a moment. Even if I give you so many children, the position of empress still won't be mine. The emperor looked remorseful. Although I cannot grant you the position of empress, you are my true love. After the emperor left, Sophia took my hand and asked, Molly, could there be some hidden reason why he killed my entire family? I took a deep breath, my face filled with overwhelming grief. Princess, when he killed the emperor and empress, he also chopped up the cat you've been raising. The happiness in Sophia's eyes vanished. That bastard must die. I know. Once again, I saved the female lead from her love-struck foolishness. It's late at night, and I secretly went to get 2 doses of medicine from Dr. Sam. He looked me up and down with suspicion. Are you injured? I calmly replied, not yet, but soon. In the original text, in 2 months, it will be the Empress's birthday. At the birthday banquet, the Empress will make an example of me to intimidate the female lead, and I will end up half paralyzed from the beating. After hearing this, Dr. Sam frantically crossed himself. Boss, may God bless you. 2 months later, the Queen's birthday celebration was held as scheduled. I hid behind the female lead, as lowly as a dog. The Queen furrowed her brows, her gaze sweeping over me 800 times. Finally, she spoke. Consort, your servant is rather unruly, isn't she? You stepped over the threshold with your right foot, and she with her left. Correct. Such an arrogant palace maid. I shall discipline her properly on your behalf. Truly worthy of being the wife of a cunning emperor. The logic of this conviction is not just similar, but exactly the same. The atmosphere at the banquet suddenly turned serious, and everyone looked in my direction in unison. Their gazes were filled with amusement, curiosity, and schadenfreude. No one would care about the life or death of a palace maid. I fell to my knees with a thud. Your Majesty, spare my life. The Empress waved her hand, and 2 tall, sturdy matrons came out, lifting me up as if I were a chick. Sophia grew anxious. Your Majesty, the dog emperor lowered his head to drink, adopting an attitude of complete detachment, while weeping bitterly. I was mentally cursing the emperor's ancestors for 18 generations. Seeing the half-person high stick in the matron's hand, I broke down. Imperial consort, save me. Sophia finally realized that the emperor was unreliable. Without hesitation, she stepped in front of me, her luxurious gown blocking my view. She knelt on the ground, her delicate face filled with stubbornness. Your Majesty, I have failed to discipline my servants properly. If punishment is to be given, please punish me along with them. The Queen was deeply moved. Sister, your bond with your servant is truly profound. Her next words were, drag her out and punish her together. Sophia and I were dragged out together by the matron. Her face showed disappointment and despair. My face was covered in tears and snot. Sophia remained as elegant as ever. She was kneeling in punishment beside me, while I was pinned down on the board and beaten, amid my miserable screams. The female lead's arrogant gaze and the emperor's eyes continuously met. The emperor's face was filled with heartache and reluctance. Their feelings were deepening, while I was the only one getting beaten up. By the time I felt half my life had been beaten out of me, the female lead finally knelt and fainted. The emperor spoke. Enough. I looked at the emperor with hopeful eyes. He strode down and picked up the fainted female lead, summoned the imperial physician. They left with an air of carefree abandon. My heart died along with them. The Empress was so furious she ground her silver teeth to dust. The matron asked her, Your Majesty, this palace maid, keep beating her. I secretly vowed to make this despicable couple pay. When I was carried back to the palace, Sophia happened to wake up. The male and female leads are in the room acting out a domineering emperor's forced love, while I lie dying on the cold floor. Louis, you love the Empress, never me. Sophia, I had no choice but to make her empress. She has the backing of the Empress Dowager's faction. The female lead roared. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I can't stay in this palace for another moment. Woman, I forbid you to leave. Smack. The door was opened. Seeing me covered in blood, Sophia gasped. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted into the emperor's arms. The emperor gave me a meaningful look and waved his hand, saying, Molly has done well in stopping the imperial consort. She shall be rewarded. Molly is my name in the book. A eunuch stepped forward, holding a large tray of gold. He looked down his nose at me. Molly, why aren't you thanking his grace? I trembled as I kowtowed to the emperor. Thank you, Your Majesty. The emperor carried the female lead back to the room. Soon, indescribable sounds could be heard coming from the room. I look at the gold at my feet. Lying on the ground and thinking about my revenge plan, Dr. Sam came to my side in the dark, looking at the gold on the ground. He sighed with emotion. Transmigration expert, you're really rich, envious. Dr. Sam nodded. Traded with my life. He fell silent. As Dr. Sam applied the medicine to me, he asked, we're applying the medicine right out in the open like this. What if the emperor comes out? I calmly replied. The setting of this book is that he's a stud who can go 7 times a night. That damn emperor won't come out until he's made at least 800 thrusts. Dr. Sam suddenly understood. Is this a social media post? No, this is an old-school tragic romance story. The male and female leads battled fiercely in the room for 3 days and 3 nights, and my injuries had healed enough for me to barely walk. The emperor walked out of the room with a satisfied expression. Leaving Sophia in disheveled clothes, weeping, he said, Sophia, this time you will surely conceive my child. The female lead broke down. No, it can't be. The emperor sneered coldly. Attendants, prepare the imperial consort for her bath. The emperor left, and I entered carrying a basin of water. Sophia pulled me aside, her eyes reddening. Molly, what on earth is happening to me? I asked her, what's wrong with you? Sophia covered her heart, on the verge of tears. I should hate Louis, but there's always a voice in my heart saying, I love him with all my heart. I interrupted Sophia. What do you love about him? Do you love his indifference to you? Do you love the fact that he favors 730 concubines in 365 days a year? Or do you love him for making you bear 101 children? Sophia tried to defend the scumbag. But he had no choice but to sleep with so many women. I continued, do you really think he loves you? He sold himself for the country, ruling while freeloading, sleeping with whoever's daughter he needed, and you call that having no choice? Sophia started crying again. As she cried, she pulled a tiger tally out from under the bed. I was so foolish. I shouldn't have held any illusions about him. Sophia stuffed the tiger tally into my hand. When Louis invaded El Country, my father's elite troops happened to be on an expedition. Take this tiger tally and find them. I was utterly shocked. I never expected the naive and sweet female lead to actually have an army under her command. Sophia cried and said, Molly, I must avenge my father and brother. I frowned and pretended to be troubled, but I'm currently confined in this palace and can't get out. Sophia took a deep breath. I'll figure something out. Sophia's idea was to win over the dog emperor. As expected of the main characters, they really excel in having boundless energy. One is a field that cannot be worn out by plowing, the other is an ox that never tires. Every day, before the rooster crows, the palace is already filled with soft, murmuring sounds. While the emperor was lost in his indulgence of beauty, I quietly left the palace with gold and the tiger tally, heading to an inn as per the original plot. The original text did not elaborate in detail on the female lead's army. The only description is that Sophia, while fleeing, they helped the female lead evade the emperor's spies. The female lead met with them through an inn. This inn is called an inn and possesses the most extensive information network in the world. I gave the gold to the inn's waiter. Waiter bit into it and revealed a satisfied smile. Esteemed guest, come here at noon tomorrow, and you will naturally meet the person you wish to see. After leaving the inn, I turned around and made some small investments, buying land and shops, planning to dabble in real estate in ancient times. If the relationship between the male and female leads doesn't develop as expected, I can immediately pack up and flee the palace. The next day, I arrived at the inn as promised and met the general of that army. The general had a rugged face and a bewildered expression. He asked me in confusion, I was chasing the Xiongnu just yesterday. How did I end up here after waking up? I explained, perhaps you can go back after a good night's sleep. It's normal to encounter a bug in an old-school angst novel world. The general stroked his chin and thought it made sense. I asked, are you the strongest army in El Country? The general nodded proudly. We are following His Majesty the Emperor's decree, heading west from the country of El, and we have now reached the second sea. The second sea, oh, it must be the Mediterranean Sea. I asked him again, I have something to tell you. You might be very shocked, but don't be shocked just yet. The general sneered. I've fought on battlefields for many years. Even if the emperor died, I wouldn't be shocked. That's good, I said with relief. The emperor is indeed dead. The general's expression shifted slightly. No matter, the crown prince is kind-hearted. The crown prince is gone too, the imperial grandson, all gone. The general couldn't hold back anymore. He drew his sword and roared, "Where did this demon come from?" Daring to curse the downfall of my country, I raised my hand and gently pushed his sword aside. Alas, quite sharp, General, I mean, is it possible, I carefully chose my words, that your home base has been stolen? The general was speechless. He did not want to believe it. He drew his sword and threatened several more passers-by, all of whom said that the kingdom of El had already fallen. The general's face began to show signs of defeat. What is the point of capturing all these cities then? I comforted him, since the emperor is already dead, you can declare yourselves kings. The general was shocked. My family has received imperial favor for 3 generations. How could I commit such an ungrateful act? I patted him on the shoulder. General, as long as our determination doesn't waver, there will always be more solutions than difficulties. Wise one, what are your thoughts? That Louis is ruthless, having wiped out the entire royal family of El. I showed a deeply sorrowful expression, but our princess is still alive. The general looked worried. And what about the princess now? She's living a very difficult life. I began to let my imagination run wild, recounting every tragic plotline I could possibly think of. In my story, that despicable emperor was cold, ruthless, and utterly unreasonable, while Sophia suffered both physically and emotionally, even enduring over 100 forced abortions. The general's face turned crimson with rage after hearing this. This dog emperor is simply too much. Does he even see our princess as a human being, drinking over 300 bowls of abortion medicine a year? Even a sow isn't this fertile. I wiped my tears and nodded. In the eyes of that dog emperor, our princess lives a life worse than a dog. The general gritted his teeth. Please inform the princess that if she is willing, I can lead the troops back at any time. I wiped away my tears and smiled. With those words, the princess will surely be overjoyed. I am willing to go through fire and water for the princess. It seems this expedition general is the standard simp for the female lead, and the kind with no bottom line. I told Sophia the general's reply. She was overjoyed. Molly, how did you persuade him? I smiled mysteriously. Heaven's secrets cannot be revealed. Through my relentless efforts, I successfully escaped the fate of having my hands and feet chopped off and being hung on the city wall to die. After 3 months of the emperor's persistent efforts, Sophia's belly finally showed signs of movement. I know, the plot has entered its final stage. Sophia had a big argument with the emperor because of her pregnancy, and the emperor would finally lose his patience and order her execution. After the female lead is taken to the execution ground, I will risk my life to rescue her. And the cruel emperor will execute my entire clan. At the thought of this, I broke out in a cold sweat. Now is the most critical moment, and there must be no mistakes. After taking Sophia's pulse, Physician Sam cautiously said to the emperor, Your Majesty, the imperial consort is experiencing morning sickness. The emperor joyfully asked, Is it a boy or a girl? Physician Sam wiped the sweat from his forehead. The emperor's expression changed. I command you, this time the imperial consort must give birth to a girl. Imperial physician Sam wiped the cold sweat from his forehead vigorously. Your Majesty, I cannot do it. If you can't do it, I will execute your entire family. Imperial physician Sam trembled all over and cast a helpless gaze toward me. I quietly made an okay gesture. Dr. Sam took a deep breath, shedding his previous timidity, and said firmly, I can definitely help the imperial consort give birth to a daughter. The emperor was satisfied. He held Sophia in his arms, his eyes filled with deep affection. Sophia, we are finally going to have our own child. Sophia leaned into his embrace. But I hope it's a son. The emperor's expression changed, and he snorted coldly. What's so good about having a stinky boy? Dr. Sam stood beside me and whispered, Can someone really be jealous of their own son? Don't the male leads in those old-school tragic novels always get jealous of their sons? Dr. Sam sighed with emotion. I really don't understand women's logic, I retorted. The author of this book is male. Dr. Sam shut his mouth. Since becoming pregnant, Sophia's mood has been unpredictable. Even the dog emperor has received several slaps from her. Late at night, Sophia threw another tantrum. She cried until her voice was hoarse. You don't love me at all. If you loved me, you should sing opera for me yourself. you should dismiss all the women in the harem, and you shouldn't make me bear children. The emperor lectured her with righteous indignation. I am the son of heaven, how could I stoop to such a lowly act as singing opera? You just don't love me anymore. I can reward you. Those are all the leftovers that others have picked over. I won't listen. I won't listen. The emperor was furious again. He began smashing things in the palace, sparing none of the various precious royal items. Imperial physician Sam was ordered to examine Sophia. Hearing the commotion inside, he didn't dare move for a long time. Dr. Sam habitually wiped the cold sweat from his temple. How long have they been like this? I cracked a sunflower seed and replied, for several days. Sam the imperial physician humbly asked, oh, transmigration expert, can the female lead really give birth to a daughter? I shook my head. He panicked. Damn it, my head is on the line now. Don't worry, the female lead's child won't be born. I spat out a melon seed shell and waved at physician Sam. Come closer, and I'll explain it to you in detail. In the original plot, a noble woman was punished by the emperor for practicing witchcraft, even though the so-called witchcraft was just hanging a sunny doll. Now that the emperor and the empress are at odds, the emperor just needs a little more motivation to depose the empress. For example, make the female lead have a miscarriage. Another example, make the queen superstitious about witchcraft, while silently chanting, Amit Babuddha, in my heart. I told Dr. Sam in detail about my revenge plan. After hearing it, Dr. Sam gave a thumbs up. You are truly vicious, I sneered. It's time to wrap things up. Shortly after, the emperor stormed out in a rage. He was so angry that he stumbled on the stairs. The emperor glared at me fiercely. I skillfully knelt on the ground. Your Majesty, spare my life. This staircase is truly blind. I will definitely smooth it out properly. As the words fell, a shoe flew out of the room and accurately hit the emperor's head. Sophia's voice came through. Don't trouble Molly. The emperor snorted coldly and left. Physician Sam asked, weren't they sworn enemies? In tragic novels, pregnancy is the beginning of resolving all conflicts. Dr. Sam took out his notebook and wrote it down. Got it. In reality, Sophia's pregnancy was not the start of reconciliation, but the beginning of revenge. In the evening, Sophia held my hand and asked, must this child really be aborted? I asked her in return, do you want to be with Louis forever? Sophia shook her head frantically. I whispered to her, only by letting this child go will the emperor be determined to depose the empress. Only by deposing the empress can we force the empress dowager's faction to rebel. All right, I believe you. Taking advantage of Sophia's feigned compliance with the emperor, Sam the physician and I sneaked into the empress's bedchamber in the dead of night. He handed me a bag of unidentified red liquid. I asked with skepticism, is this reliable? Dr. Sam nodded. Based on my years of experience reading mystery novels, this is the standard procedure for pretending to be supernatural. We divided the work between us. He threw dead fish into the pond, while I splashed blood on the ground. The scene was only half set up when a passing palace maid discovered us. He and I quickly started running. Imperial physician Sam was in such a hurry to crawl through the dog hole that he even lost one of his shoes. I was even more frantic. What do you do if your shoe falls off? What if she finds out? Dr. Sam patted my shoulder. Don't worry, this shoe isn't mine. I froze. This shoe was thrown out by Sophia that day. Dr. Sam paused. It should be the shoe she sewed for the emperor. The queen found the shoe and the next day, she had everyone in the palace try it on. Everyone had to be present to try on the shoe. People lined up one by one to try it on, and eventually, the emperor arrived. Seeing that everyone's feet were smaller than the shoe size, the emperor joked, it seems there's a Bigfoot in my palace. The nanny advised the queen from the side. Your Majesty, everyone has tried, but no one's feet fit. The queen's face darkened. It seems the thief deliberately made the size larger so that I couldn't find him. The emperor wanted to comfort her. Come, let me try and see if the size is really that big. Your Majesty, so many people have passed through. I'm afraid, it's fine. The emperor showed a doting smile on his face. As long as the empress is happy, it's all good. The empress looked shy and bashful. Your Majesty, you're so annoying. Amid their flirtatious interaction, the eunuch skillfully slipped the shoe onto the emperor's foot. At that moment, the entire hall fell silent. I lowered my head. He began desperately trying to recall all the sorrows of his life. The smile at the corner of his mouth was forcibly suppressed. The nanny and the eunuch reacted quickly, dropping to their knees and slapping themselves, exclaiming, "This servant deserves death. This servant deserves death." The emperor was furious. "Drag them all away and behead them for me." The empress began to plead for mercy. "Your Majesty, you cannot execute her. This nanny is my wet nurse. She has been with me since I was a child. This shoe was picked up by her, and it just happens to fit my foot. Clearly, she is trying to pin the thief's crime on me." Louis is an emperor with confidence. Amid the queen's pleas, he had both the nanny and the eunuch dragged out. The queen screamed at the top of her lungs, "Nanny, no." From then on, the emperor and the queen were completely estranged. Sam the physician and I continued to play tricks in the queen's palace. Be more specific, they casually released several sacks of cockroaches, rats, centipedes, scorpions, and the like. The queen was tormented to the point of mental exhaustion. She repeatedly sent for the emperor, but he was so captivated by Sophia's beauty that he paid her no attention. At this moment, Physician Sam made a dazzling entrance. All the physicians in the Sam Medical Institute regarded the empress as a troublesome presence, but only he stepped forward. "According to my plan, Physician Sam will prescribe medicine for the empress. At the same time, Physician Sam and I will reduce harassment and thoroughly implement the 16-character principle. When the enemy advances, we retreat. When the enemy halts, we harass. When the enemy tires, we attack. When the enemy retreats, we pursue." Under the care of Physician Sam, the empress's spirits gradually recovered. Physician Sam became her new confidant. The empress was suspicious and paranoid all day long. "Physician Sam, when do you think I will fully recover?" Physician Sam said, "I can only nourish your Majesty's body with talisman water, but I cannot dispel the evil aura in the palace." The queen was panicked. "There is an evil presence in the palace." Imperial Physician Sam nodded gravely. "Coincidentally, I know a Taoist priest who is skilled at dispelling evil energy. Quickly, bring him in." The queen originally did not believe in such superstitious tales, but with all the chaos in the courtyard these days and her continuous streak of bad luck, she couldn't help but start to doubt. Soon, Imperial Physician Sam arranged for the Taoist priest I had found to be brought into the queen's palace. Fearing the emperor's disapproval, the queen could only perform the ritual in secret. I was eavesdropping with Dr. Sam. The Taoist priest was shaking a bell while circling 3 incense sticks, singing and dancing, chanting, "So beautiful." Dr. Sam's eyelid twitched. "Where did you find this Taoist priest?" "I found him in the suburbs," I whispered in reply. "He said he interned at M Mountain for 2.5 years, skilled in incense offering, singing, and dancing. Sounded pretty reliable." Dr. Sam twitched the corner of his mouth. "Couldn't you find a proper Taoist priest? That emperor doesn't believe in ghosts or gods. All the fortune-telling Taoists have switched careers," I complained. "I searched the entire city and only managed to find this one in turn." No sooner had the words left his mouth than the Taoist priest, while dancing, stepped on his own left foot with his right and fell flat on the ground. The incense burner was knocked over by him. Before the empress could speak, the Taoist priest immediately feigned a look of shock and preemptively explained, "I never expected the evil aura in the palace to be this strong. It seems a calamitous star is about to descend upon us." The empress grew even more anxious. "Taoist master, what should we do?" "Do not panic. I have a yellow talisman that will surely protect the empress." After saying this, the Taoist master gave the empress a yellow talisman. The empress took the yellow talisman and rewarded him generously. Physician Sam whispered, "Did you arrange this?" "No, that was his impromptu performance. It's clear that this Taoist priest knows how to cherish his life." The empress placed the yellow talisman under her bed, feeling anxious all day long. Dr. Sam transformed into a women's confidant and began discussing personal matters with the empress. The queen held her forehead in pain. "The mere thought of that wretched woman being pregnant makes me lose my appetite all day." Physician Sam lied without batting an eye. "I have taken her pulse, and the consort is definitely carrying a daughter." The queen breathed a sigh of relief. "I still don't feel at ease." "Go and smash the Guanyin statue in her chamber that grants children." "No problem." After leaving the empress's palace, Physician Sam quietly asked me, "What should we do next?" I calculated the plot by counting on my fingers. It's time for the female lead to have a miscarriage. I had just returned to Sophia's palace when I saw the scumbag emperor storming out angrily. Sophia was sitting on the bed, her hair disheveled, her small face flushed with anger. I can't stand serving this scumbag for even one more day. I comforted her. Princess, endure for a moment and the storm will pass. Our grand plan is about to be realized. Sophia's expression softened. How is the matter with the Empress progressing? I have already replaced the voodoo doll under the Empress's bed. Now we can proceed with the final step. Sophia touched her slightly swollen belly, a hint of reluctance surfacing in her eyes. Okay. 3 days later, Sophia and the Emperor had an even more intense argument. During this argument, countless antique treasures were sacrificed. Fortunately, I had already moved a batch of antiques away beforehand. Otherwise this would have been a huge loss. I will never depose the Empress. As the words fell, exclamations of shock echoed through the hall. Consort Sophia has had a miscarriage. When I arrived with Dr. Sam, Sophia was sitting on the floor, her delicate face streaked with tears. The Emperor stood by, his brows furrowed tightly. Physician Sam finished taking the pulse and shook his head. Your Majesty, the child is gone. The Emperor staggered slightly. Impossible, absolutely impossible. I merely pushed her, so why did the child vanish? I cleared my throat and whispered, this afternoon, the Empress sent over some tonics. The Emperor, as if grasping at a lifeline, immediately ordered, check the consort's tonics at once. Physician Sam cooperated with the Emperor very well. Your Majesty, it's been found out, the tonic sent by the Empress contains safflower. The Emperor found a reason for the miscarriage of the imperial consort. He began to explain frantically. Trying to win back the heroine's heart. Sophia, did you hear? This child wasn't lost because of me, but because of the Empress. Sophia cried and said, even if she killed our child, you wouldn't punish her. Sophia, I have my reasons. Sophia picked up the ceramic shards from the ground and placed them against her wrist. If you don't avenge me today, I will die together with this child. The Emperor's eyes reddened. I will depose the Empress. I will depose her now. The affectionate Emperor is about to go mad again. The ceramic shard cut a bloodstain on Sophia's wrist. Although it was only a slight trace, the Emperor still issued the decree to depose the Empress. At this point, the Empress could no longer sit still. The Empress couldn't understand why there was safflower in the tonic. Of course, there was indeed no safflower in the tonic. However, if the Emperor wished for it to be there, then it had to contain safflower. Physician Sam has been navigating the palace for over half a year and has a deep understanding of the dog Emperor's temperament. Therefore, he had to turn a blind eye and help the scoundrel find excuses. The Empress went before the Emperor to plead her innocence. I know your Majesty favors the imperial consort. How could I possibly tamper with the tonic? I simply cannot do such a thing. The Emperor avoided seeing her. If he admitted that the Empress's tonic was not the problem, he would be admitting that he had personally killed his and Sophia's child. In the world of a tragic romance's male lead, the female lead can be less than everything, or she can be greater than everything. Now, Sophia was everything to the Emperor. Seeing the Emperor's determination, the Empress turned to seek help from the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager was a typical career-driven woman. She had engaged in palace intrigues for over 30 years, supporting Louis from being a prince all the way to becoming the Emperor. Even after becoming the Empress Dowager, she was unwilling to relinquish her power. The Queen is the niece of the Empress Dowager and serves as her key instrument for controlling the power within the imperial harem. Now that the Emperor wishes to depose the Queen, how could the Empress Dowager stand by and do nothing? She brought a group of ministers to pressure the Emperor, both overtly and covertly, using the stability of the empire as a threat. The Emperor desires both the empire and the beauty. Louis's will wavered. It's easier to coax someone love-struck than a career-driven older woman. Just as he gathered a pile of treasures to reconcile with Sophia, a voodoo doll hidden in the Queen's palace was discovered. Back when the Queen placed the talisman under her bed, Dr. Sam slipped a sunny doll in along with it. All of this is part of my plan. The Queen is superstitious about witchcraft, which is a major taboo in the inner palace. The Queen must be deposed. Now, the Queen refuses to accept this. She led a group of ministers to force the Emperor to abdicate. The affectionate Emperor, lost in his love affair with Sophia, was caught off guard by the Empress. The Empress, clad in iron armor, held a long spear. She fiercely scolded the Emperor. that year when you personally led the expedition to El Country, 52 generals who accompanied you fell in battle, and only you were captured by El Country. I strongly supported the war faction and defended the imperial capital. I never expected that upon your return from El Country, the first thing you would do was to dismiss my family officials and exclusively favor the princess of El Country. Listening to the empress's words, I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. I never expected that Louis would have the audacity to live off others while acting tough. Now, for the sake of that enchantress, you actually want to depose the empress. The empress, holding a long spear, advanced step by step. Today, I will cut open your chest and see if you, Louis, even have a heart. Sophia leaned against the emperor, pitifully saying, Your Majesty, the empress is so fierce. The emperor patted Sophia's shoulder. With me here. Don't be afraid. After speaking, the emperor cast a cold glance at the empress. You are the lapdog of the empress dowager. There can be no marital affection between us. The empress was furious. Louis, even at death's door, you still. Before she could finish speaking, a sharp arrow pierced through the empress's chest. She wore an expression of disbelief. Do you really think I didn't know about your and the empress dowager's plans to rebel? The emperor sneered, looking down at the empress from his high position. Today, you and these traitors will all die here. At that moment, chaos erupted outside the house. The empress was determined to fight the emperor to the death, no matter the cost. The emperor drew his sword and pierced her chest. The scene was too gruesome. I silently covered my eyes. She screamed in agony. A coward like you doesn't deserve to be the emperor. The emperor, struck to the core, stabbed the empress several more times with his sword. Shut up. Soon, the queen's rebellion was suppressed. A blood-soaked general entered the hall and knelt before the emperor. The rebellion has been quelled. The emperor nodded with satisfaction. You have done well. I shall reward you handsomely. He took out his handkerchief to wipe the blood off the sword, then turned and comforted Sophia with a hug. Sophia whispered, Your Majesty, is the rebellion truly over? Of course. After receiving a positive response, Sophia drew a dagger from her sleeve and plunged it into the emperor's chest. Blood splattered all over her face. Seductive and beautiful, the emperor looked at her in disbelief. You? Sophia drew her dagger, looking at him with disgust. Now, it's my turn for revenge. The emperor shouted loudly for his guards, but his general was already dead. In the hall, the blood-soaked general wiped the blood from his face, revealing his true features. The emperor's eyes revealed deep fear. He asked, Your Majesty, do you still remember who I am? The emperor certainly remembered him. Back then, it was this very general who captured him alive on the battlefield and brought him into the country of El. It was only after he managed to escape from the prisoner of war camp by every possible means that he encountered Sophia. The emperor broke down. Sophia, why are you treating me like this? Sophia sneered. I saved your life. Yet you repaid my kindness with enmity, killing my kin and destroying my country. But I love you. I even deposed the empress for you. You say you love me, promising me a lifetime with just the two of us. Yet every year you bring hundreds of new consorts into your harem. The emperor tried to say something more, but Sophia slapped him across the face. Shut up, you scumbag. I was on the side, frantically giving likes. Well played, Molly, the rest is up to you. Sophia lifted her skirt and walked out of the palace. The emperor watched her departing figure, gasping for breath. Sophia, why? I walked up to the emperor, because, you are not worthy. After saying that, I drew my whip and struck the emperor fiercely. With each of his screams, my mood grew more cheerful. Beating up scumbags is always a joy. The emperor roared. I am the son of heaven. How dare you strike me? You're exactly who I'm beating. As the emperor lay dying, bloody foam bubbling from his mouth, he mumbled incoherently, I am the protagonist of this world. I will not die. It seems Louis already knows this is a world from a book, but it's too late. He's almost finished. You certainly won't die, but you can live as if you're already dead. I smiled faintly. I didn't want to interfere with your relationship with Sophia back then, but you just wouldn't let me go. Louis widened his eyes. It was you. Yes, I was the one who turned Sophia against you. I wiped the blood off my hands with a cold expression. All the plans were orchestrated by me for Sophia. To make Louis lose his reputation and be abandoned by everyone is the new ending I have prepared for him. A scumbag doesn't deserve a happy ending. I crouched down and said to him, Are you curious why Sophia suddenly stopped loving you? Louis spat blood, his chest heaving with agitation. No. Impossible, because, more than loving you, she wanted to be the emperor. At that moment, Sophia's voice sounded from outside. The traitorous empress has been executed, and all her accomplices have been eliminated. The emperor is severely injured and needs to rest quietly. The nation of G has undergone a drastic change. Sophia successfully restored the L kingdom and became the first empress in the history of this world. Her loyal general, now with a new faith, continued to march toward countries beyond the Mediterranean. The emperor was imprisoned in the cold palace. As the male protagonist of this world, no matter how much he suffers, he will not die. When Sophia was annoyed by her courtiers, she would go to the cold palace to favor the emperor properly. Once, as I passed by, I heard Sophia say to the emperor, "Didn't you want to have 101 children with me? With such poor stamina, how are we going to manage that? Call out louder if it hurts. I love to hear it." Tisk, it's all retribution. Later, Dr. Sam found me. He said, "I've completed the system task and can return to the modern era." What about you? I've completed the task too. I'm lying. I don't have a system at all, Dr. Sam said excitedly. Then let's meet in real life. My name is Sam, don't forget. Okay. The next day, physician Sam left the palace. Everyone in this world has forgotten him, only I remember his existence. I requested to resign and leave from Sophia. Sophia's eyes revealed reluctance. Molly, it was you who persuaded me to leave that scoundrel back then. I haven't even had the chance to properly thank you. How could you? I smiled with relief. The princess is already the emperor. As a meritorious official like me, we are bound to grow distant in the future. Let us part ways while we are still at our closest. Living with a king is like living with a tiger. Only by leaving the imperial palace can I truly be free. Sophia sighed deeply with her hands behind her back. The once innocent and kind girl now had a touch of maturity on her face. She thought a lot. Molly, after you leave, remember to come back and visit me often. Sophia generously granted me a fiefdom, and also bestowed upon me a pardon token, along with various jewels and gold. On the day I left the palace, the sun was bright and the sky was clear. I don't know how Dr. Sam is doing after returning to the modern era, but I know that I will never have to live the 996 lifestyle again in the future. I will travel the world and enjoy poetry and distant horizons. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.